at that time, I again played my big novelty, d5. So Karpov always liked to play this line with, knight b5, knight goes on a3, has 2 pawns, space advantage. I tried a very dubious novelty in game 3 in the first match, and I lost very poorly. So I don't think that black should worry too much after playing bishop e7 and a castle, and this is having, just hedgehog structure. But
you believe in that?
Yeah, I think it's fine, but it's very important just to anticipate your opponent's preferences, because I would play it with somebody else, but Karpov loved these positions with white.
Psychology.
Yes, it's I would call it the chess psychology, because if you have a choice, you would rather play something different that your opponent dislikes or does not understand as well as something else. So d5 was a very typical Kasparov move, and it's not what Karpov wanted to see playing knight b5, because the game is open. So it's.
I want to talk about these hedgehog positions. I mean, you talk about the Roxy bind, these 2 pawns, c4, e4. Again, the evolution of chess thinking. If you go back to the 30s,
no,
and
even 60s.
it was very much feared.
Yeah, but in 75.
Who caused the change? Was it Lubojevic, Anderson?
One man, Anderson. I guess it's Portish-Anderson game in Milan 75. Portish lost with white, and that was sort of a shock, because after black allowing white to put pawns on e4, c4, it was really big advantage. And it's quite significant that the victim was Portish, a classical chess player who eventually, employed the playing hedgehog system on the regular basis.
Of course, in the same tournament, Anderson beat Karpov himself with black in the same formation in this opening.
Yeah. So, but I guess, and Portish-Anderson was, was a key game, because it was a hedgehog in pure form, and Portish lost. I could play, just the normal positional game, but I wanted something new, and d5 was a move that I invented. I didn't know that it was played by a Hungarian player, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
At that time, we didn't have databases. It was 1.5 million games.
He said he thought about the move on the tram on the way to the tournament hall.
Okay.
Setting up on the tram.
Your
preparation was a little bit more diligent than that.
You're right, yes. I was thinking about this move in the airplane. It's a bit more sophisticated transportation.
Are you serious?
The first time I was flying Baku, Moscow on the plane, and I just got an idea. I looked at my...
This is evolution, from tram
evolution,
to airplane.
Yes. My pocket chess, and I saw Nikita, and I said, I've got an idea. He looked and says, so don't even show it to me. Nikitin says, it's d5. So, and then we looked again. I mean, that's a position, and because bishop c4 was a natural move.
Maybe my son will find another novelty on
spacecraft.
Maybe.
And after b5 castle, that's something that black should avoid, because you cannot take on c4 with the rook a1 check. And that's what Karpov played in game 12 when he first had to struggle against d5.
Bishop g4.
Yeah, bishop g4. That's a key move, because now suddenly, by making this stupid move attacking the queen, we distract white's pieces and discoordinate it. Because if white plays f3, then bishop f5, and then castle, and that's the position I wanted to reach. So with dominant pieces, knight on b4 and bishop on a5, very important. We cut knight from a3. We're preparing b5, and also we are ready to go on d3. So the extra pawn is absolutely relevant in this position, because white pieces are very poorly coordinated.
Were you in any way influenced by the gambit which goes after d4, knight f6, c4, c5, knight f3, take, knight takes e5, knight b5, d5?
I played it regularly.
Yes, were you influenced by that when you played this?
Yeah, it's a similar concept. Obviously, the fact that I played this gambit quite a few times made easier for me to accept this concept. Also, I was not afraid, to play without a pawn. So for me, pawn was, a trading material. So if I win something in exchange, like a time or quality, I could sacrifice a pawn. It was not something sacred. So when I prepared for the match, obviously, bishop c4 was my, first choice. But also, I looked at bishop e2. I mean, I realized that bishop e2 could be a potential refutation, because normally in many gambits, after winning the pawn, one side could consider to give up the pawn, give it back, and just to win some extra time.
Yep.
Because if you are trying to recapture the pawn, you're losing time, your pieces are losing coordination. So bishop e2 was quite natural, and I had no doubt that in game 2, if I continue playing this gambit, Karpov would go for bishop e2, because it doesn't take long for you to understand that if I take on d5, white is clearly better. Not a big deal, but clearly better. I think that there were a couple of draws made by Black afterwards in the 90s. And it's proven that White's advantage is not decisive to not only to win, but to have a serious advantage.
Well, the English master Clark pointed out to me that White has played knight f3 to d4 to b5 to a3, so why not gambit with d5?
Yeah, so probably, knight b d5, enough for a draw. But at that time I had a very ambitious plans, and it's amazing that I had a long preparation. That was one of the longest successful preparations in my life. And I blundered something at move 1, which happens very often. When you look too deep, you miss something on the surface.
That's what Larson says.
Yeah, so I played bishop c5. And Karpov was a bit surprised. But he didn't see the big difference. So it took about a minute from him to castle. So, okay, I was lucky. Karpov didn't see move bishop e3. So after
he saw it 6 months later against.
No, but I guess the move was already discussed during the game, because Josef Dorfman told Nikitin, and my seconds discussed it immediately after the game. They didn't tell me until the end of the game 17, but according to Dorfman, he saw it when the game was on the board, and he nearly got a heart attack. And then Karpov played castle, and he got relaxed. So bishop e3 is a refutation. Karpov himself played it against Van der Wiel. Ironically, he didn't win this game against Van der Wiel.
He nearly lost it.
So he didn't win this game. But bishop is a clear refutation, because I think the best for Black is just to play this position without the pawn.
Bishop d7. Van der Wiel played knight d7.
Yeah, but it's not easy for White to win. I mean, it's an extra pawn, but if you look at the position, White is clearly better. But at 2 bishops, and enough squares, so it's unpleasant for Black. But there's no guarantee.
Well, this is
that's a by force. That's
the move bishop d7 was not mentioned.
No,
just
mentioned.
knight
No,
was played.
that's what I
Oh well, in that case, I start to revise my opinions on the game. If this is the best way, obviously, it's not.
It's not pleasant, but again,
you've got the bishops.
I mean, that's like this 50-50 chance that maybe White will not win, because that it's.
Oh, in that case, the game is rehabilitated.
That's what I've been saying for all these years. Nobody listened to.
No one's been listening to you.
Yeah, but that's a position. That's absolutely the best White can get.
Without being facetious, that's quite a big discovery to me. I thought that,
yes.
I thought Black was busted after bishop e3.
No, it's not busted. It's unpleasant. But will you bet that Karpov would beat me in this endgame?
No.
Okay, I didn't see it. I didn't see bishop e3, but that was my instant reaction when I saw bishop e3, that take bishop d7, queen b6. So, because I realized you have to exchange.
Bail out.
Yes, bail out. So Karpov played castle. It's very rare you could find a position where castle is such a bad mistake. Because after castle, now Black is out of danger. So obviously Karpov played bishop e3. He could make a draw playing bishop g5.
You say obviously. I was told afterwards that Dorfman said after this move, I think we will see a result today, because White cannot draw after bishop f3. Is that a correct quote?
Yes. I think it's after bishop f3. Now, White is not worse after bishop f3, but it's very important that Karpov had to realize the danger very soon, very quickly. It had to take a few moves for him to realize the danger, because we analyzed this position very deep, and I had the entire concept in my mind, what to do. And I knew that my knight would be in d3, and when it's there, it will be very bad for White. Now, if White misses the crucial moment of the game, then they will be too late. Because, you will see that's how the Black piece will eventually dominate the whole board. And that's a concept that I saw. I mean, this is nearly up to move 20, I've got a position in my mind. We didn't analyze it in details. It's just mainly, it's in discussion. Because, I mean, I don't need a chess board to understand that after knight, bishop on f5, knight on d3, and pawn on b5, Black has a great game. So, after bishop f3, I was very, very happy, because Karpov missed a chance to play bishop g5.
On playing with Nikitin, when the idea originally occurred to you, you were mainly thinking about bishop c4.
No, only bishop c4, bishop g4. So it took time, It was a very slow discovery, because it was somewhere in April '85, and only in I guess July, August '85, we had more or less precise idea how to play this gambit. So bishop f3, bishop f5 now. The beginning of the operation. It's the paratroopers are ready to interfere. So bishop on f5 cuts knight from a3. So knight on a3 cannot enter the game, because on knight c4 there's a bishop d3. So two more moves, rook e8, b5, and will dominate all key squares. So Karpov played bishop g5. So there was another option, bishop e3, but black had also a very reasonable game. Again, it's the same principle. We dominate white's pieces. So, but bishop g5 was very natural. So very important now to play rook e8, because otherwise white is threatening. If we play b5, bishop e4, and our domination is broken. So it's very important that we continue with rook
That's
e8.
quite simple, but I hadn't seen that note before.
Yes. So here Karpov had the chance of bringing knight to the game. Bishop is a3. But it means to sacrifice a pawn.
To give it back.
To give it back. I mean, that was a very safe pass for white. But Karpov, give up a pawn? No. So Karpov, I mean, I could see him just playing game of chess, and he probably thought black has compensation, but he didn't realize at all how big is the danger. At that time,
was there a moment when it became apparent to you that it had become apparent to him how great the danger was?
It was too late. It was already too late. So he played queen d2. Again, the biggest problem for white in this position that if he makes all normal moves, and what could be more natural? Bishop f3, bishop g5, queen d2, rook d1. You have all white pieces properly developed, except knight on a3. But you have queen on d2, is bad position. Knight on c3, bishop on f3, bishop on g5, rook on d1, and extra pawn on d5 protected many times. So psychologically, for a player of Karpov type at that time, was impossible to realize that it could be very bad, because black pieces will be occupying much better squares. So it's all about the control of the squares. So you had to realize in time that knight on d3 would be stronger than the rook. And knight on d3 protected by bishop on e5 will paralyze the whole game. And then the pawn on d5 will be just a waste, because this pawn, will be simply, used as the cover-up for the black's operation.
It's even possible he's better off without the pawn sometimes, isn't it?
Now, but that's exactly what's happened. Now, b5, you see now we cut the knight. Knight and rook a d1. And what could be more natural? So I'm sure Karpov was ready, knight a b1, then maybe a3 or whatever. So the whole concept of black game was not yet clear to Karpov. Knight d3.
Wasn't there some moment when he could have gone d6? Is it now or the move
Here,
before?
that's the last time he could equalize. He must play d6.
Now I want to see some analysis. What happens after d6?
Now the best from my perspective today was to sacrifice an exchange.
So we've given up the pawn that we've got back. We're now down a clear exchange. We threaten b4.
Let's threaten knight g4. Maybe b4.
Knight g4 and f2 falls over.
Yeah.
So what's the best move? Bishop f6?
Queen takes f6. So, but look, knight on f6, knight on d3 is still there. So the rooks are paralyzed. So you have an extra exchange, but extra exchange is just, it's an empty word. Because rook is strong when rook has open files. So you mean that rook on f1 is better than bishop on f5? And rook on d1 is better than bishop on c5? So it's the...
Well, let me try and get some concrete variation. I'll take the knight. Bishop takes f6. Can we see that? Bishop f6?
Yes, okay. I take...
And I'll try and just stay on the board. I'll play knight a3 to b1 and getting rid of your threat of b4. So what are you going to do?
If I play b4 now?
You can play b4.